Hi guys, Chris here from Super Savvy Travelers, and I'm so excited because we have DauvO here from his channel, and we're going to do an interview. We're going to ask him a little bit about his background, about what he's doing now, what his plans are for the future, and just a lot of exciting stuff. So stay tuned. So hi DauvO, how you doing?
Good. Nice to see you, Chris.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I honestly don't know where to start. But let's start a little bit with your background and how you got into, like, you're in Italy now. How did you fall in love with the Italian housing market?
Well, I have to say that I fell in love with a girl first, and then the Italian housing market came as an more or less an afterthought because everybody needs to have a house, right, when they move to somewhere new. And I've always been very intrigued and connected, or at least my mind has been connected to real estate ever since I was younger. I was inspired by a friend's father who was an architect. I saw his life and thought, he's in real estate. I want to be like him. I always was connected. I always was the guy running around, knocking on people's doors, saying, will you sell your house for this price? And yes or no. It was just my hobby in university. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get takers, like when you went around and knocked on doors? Did people go, yeah, I'd like to, or how'd that go?
Well, I was in my learning period, right? I had friends that did this with me. I never got anything to pan out when I was in university, and probably for the best because I don't know. Who knows where I'd be today if that had turned out, if something had panned out for those moments. But I'm happy where I'm at today. I did get pretty close one time. There was an abandoned property that my friend actually another friend that I didn't even know, he did the same thing. He beat me to the punch, and he picked up this property that had the roof caved in a little bit in my hometown for I think he got it for $14,000.
Wow.
Just because the people weren't there anymore. You know, they moved away. It was not interesting to them. So it was this close.
Wow, that's a great purchase. So, okay, so you were talking about your background and university. So you had mentioned that you studied construction. What all is your background in construction? And tell us all your passions about that.
Well, like I said, I was inspired by the architect. I was, how do I say? When I went into university, I wasn't 100% into the whole university thing. My mother wanted me to go, mm-hmm. and I respected her interests. Mm-hmm. And so I jumped into the university in my hometown, and the very first year I was there, a university professor said to me, if you want to be an architect, you're in the wrong school. Mm. And I said, well, it's easy for me to be in school here, so I'll transition into something relatable, which became construction management. And I enjoyed it a lot. Now, school was never my big passion, but I found ways of diving in, I guess, my junior and senior years, I guess, third and fourth years in university. I was on competition teams to talking about feasibility of creating land development projects, and we actually won first place. The first time our school won first place was the year I was in it with a group of 5 people, and we had a lot of fun.
Wow, that is awesome. So you have a really strong construction background, so you can go in, you know, like when we go in, I don't have a construction background, I have like a real estate background and some basic knowledge of, you know, we did some flippers and things like that. But that's in California. It's a totally different thing. So I go in and I go, okay, wow. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start on some of these ancient walls and things like that. But you come in with a view.
Right. I have to admit that coming from wood construction to brick and mortar construction was a challenge. And especially since especially since the materials were all in a different language, I had a pretty big learning curve on understanding how everything pieces together. But I do have a pretty good idea of how construction works, and I've been trying to implement that here.
Wow, wow, and that's great for your auctions. So we had talked a little bit about your backstory and how you came to Italy and you were teaching English and that kind of thing. And I have a question. Did you meet your wife as you were teaching English, or how did you meet?
Well, we actually attend the same church, and so the church we attend is kind of a worldwide, and there was a website that connects people of our same beliefs, and we just happened to both use it for about a few weeks during the exact same period. Anyway, the short answer is that we met online, and I know that sounds really creepy to some people, but I think it's working out for a lot of people these days.
Yeah.
So I came to meet her, and I had a round-trip ticket, and I just never went back.
Oh, wow, that is awesome. Gosh, and how long did you know each other before you got married?
We had been writing to each other for about 6 months before I met her, and we actually got married within 3 months of me meeting her for the first time.
Wow, wow. Well, you just know.
So yeah, I actually, before I even came, I had a ring in hand saying if she's who I think she is and not a man or something, then I'll probably propose to her.
Oh my gosh, that is the most romantic thing I've ever heard. Oh gosh, give me a moment. That's really cool. Oh gosh, okay. Good. So
Yeah, definitely a peculiar moment for some, but it worked out for us.
That is beautiful. Gosh, okay. So, and obviously you've been married. You have two cute kids, right? Is it 2 or 3?
We actually have 3 now.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. And her family's there and it's all a great network and everything else?
Her family lives in South Italy, so we visit them. Her parents live in South Italy, in Lecce, and so we visit there every single year, pretty much. It's debatable whether we go this year. Due to certain events, obviously, we don't have as many vacation days as per usual. Oh, yeah. But her brother lives close by, and yeah, we're a close family.
That's great. I love the family units in Italy. They are just so amazing. They're so strong and really, really just sets the tone for the culture. I just love that. I wanted to touch a little bit on the €1 properties because you went to Musumelli and you were looking at those, and then I watched your video with Carl, and that was an amazing video as well. So people do want to know about those. What is your overall view of the €1 Italian properties? I mean, we did our little video based on just what I've seen in Santa Domenica and the surrounding area about some of these properties that we don't have €1 Italian houses there because there's all kinds of administrative stuff that has to occur to even do that. But some of them look like if they were going to be offered, they would be offered as €1 Italian houses. Does that make sense to you?
Right.
Okay. So some of them are pretty, they're going to need a lot of work. So what is your overall view of €1 Italian houses, whether they're worth the price? What do you think about that in general?
Okay. Well, I might have an interesting perspective because ever since my visit to Musumelli, I've made it my goal to understand the communities, like every community that is offering the same initiative, because first of all, I think a lot of people get confused thinking that Italy has done the €1 home program, but in reality, it's this publicity, €1 homes, and every community has the decision what kind of model to follow, whether it's like an auction model, whether they're rewarding all of them at €1, or if they're going to choose that some of them have €5,000 value, right? So each community has a little twist on their approach to this initiative. So Musumelli was probably the easiest one to find information on because they've developed their own website. My overall opinion of the €1 home initiative is that it is for people who want to tell a life story. And I don't know how else to say that. There's a lot of people that are interested in it, thinking this is the way to immigrate to Italy. And by all rights, it's possible. But at the same time, thinking about it statistically or based on the data, most likely you could get into the country cheaper through other means rather than using €1 homes, even though €1 home sounds really cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
So, quick question. So, I've always thought that the residency was completely separate from property ownership. Are they offering offering residency to people who buy property? I know there's the Golden Visa program and things like that, which to me sounds a little wild. But is there some program like that where if you buy a €1 property and renovate it, you get residency? Is there anything like that?
I have not seen anything that connects the two.
Okay.
I know that people think that if they buy a property, they will have an easier time getting residency, or I've had people reach out asking me to help them get a visa because they want to buy a home. And I think the hardest part about this is if you're looking at it for an immigration source, is probably not the best option. There are the programs, investor visa, where you put 250,000, 500,000, 1 million euros into whether it be Italy, a private organization or a public organization, or investing in some type of business, right?
Yeah.
That can get you in the country. You can also do the elective residency visa, but then you have to have income coming from externally. Right? And then there are all the ways of getting a work visa, which could be like self-employment. But in the end, each avenue is very different from each other. And the €1 home program is just a real estate sales program, not an immigration program.
Yeah, that was my take on it too. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. That's great. Cool. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so having seen all the €1 houses, I know on one of your videos you had mentioned that the ones that are left in Musameli are a little bit more rough than initially when the program started, right? Can you kind of go
Right.
into a little bit about what you saw? I mean, what were some of the ones that were available initially? You know, is it worthwhile? Are you going to spend way more? I guess the question I'm trying to ask in so many words is, will you spend way more to renovate this property than the market would support?
Well, I've interviewed Carl, for
Yeah.
example, that has just purchased a superior home. So when we talk about the market in Musameli, there's the €1 home market and the superior home market. They're both in the historical center. And then there's the whole real estate market that is outside that historical center that is not even considered in our channel topics.
Right. Okay.
And that's where the typical Italian would invest their money. That's more comfortable to live in. These specifically from Musameli, they've got a system where if there's a new owner that wants to join the €1 home program, they're welcome to join it. They have to follow the specific their side of things, right? Their process, and then Valeria and her agency will they'll list that. But it's not like they update the website. What happens is that they set up appointments with people. People come by and say, this is what I'm looking for, and they show the properties. But while you're looking at the properties, they show you the €1 homes and the superior homes side by side.
I see.
So you see like a €1 home, then you see a €5,000 home, then you see a 12,000, then a 20, then a 10, right? And in this way, you get a good idea of the conditions of what you could invest in. And that's why Carl explains he saw the €1 home state where there was the property full of rubble that I personally kind of liked. And he said, if I have to remove all that rubble, it will cost me more than the 5,000 of this property over here. Right. So better I just buy this one for 5,000. And actually, he made a smart move. He actually bought two and paid only 17, I think, total.
Yeah,
So,
I was amazed. I mean, the one he got for 12,000 was actually a beautiful property.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really have to.
It was a very good example of you answering that question. Is why I'm using his example, because if you moved all of that rubble yourself, you'd still have to like rent a truck and figure out where to dump it and all that kind of stuff. But Italy itself has a big focus on using the correct professionals to do correct projects. And they want you to use the professionals to do the renovations, especially for structural work. It's not possible to do on your own.
Right, right. I get a lot of questions on that. Can I do the work on my own? I'm like, why would you do that? In America, you've got a completely different construction model. And in Italy, it's like, you don't know what you're going to find in some of those centuries old walls and things like that.
Yeah.
They used whatever they had. So it's very different thing.
So you can do work alone, and they will even say you can do your own work. But knowing what I know about the renovations I've done, when it reaches the conversation with the geometer, when it reaches the structural level, or even before that, when they say, well, you're doing plumbing and things like that, there are certain categories where they say, well, this project has just become too big, and as the geometer, I don't support you as the owner doing the whole renovation yourself, because I'm responsible for the success of this campaign.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the geometer really does take on that a load of responsibility if something goes wrong. If they've approved something and it goes wrong, then the city comes to them first.
Okay, that's very good to know. Okay, good. Yeah. I had talked to our architect about that because people had asked. So you had done something on the Italian building permit. So what kind of things would people be able to do on their own? Obviously painting, maybe plastering, and the Lego kitchens that you buy at IKEA or whatever you could probably put in on your own.
Yeah, well, those are all good examples. You can do like the aesthetic looks, the tiling, the painting. You can even do some repair. But as soon as you start like changing a location of an interior wall or changing the structural integrity of the building, then they want you to use a professional for these things. Yeah. Gas lines, it's very important that you ask a professional's help. Electrical has to be signed off by an electrician. It's pretty standard stuff. The only category that I'm not positive on, because I haven't had to sign off on anything, was like putting in water lines. And so maybe I best not even mention it, but the idea that I've heard of technical support for gas lines, hot water heaters, and electrical lines. So those are all very important.
That's good to know. So tell me about your renovation. You said you had renovated some things on your own, yeah?
Yeah, so I did the best example. I have a really bad example that I haven't even told the story about. Like, I act like a professional in construction, but the idea, and I am, but the idea that I thought I knew some worldwide rules and thought I would do it myself. And not only that, but I had someone in my ear saying, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just follow this path. And I did that, and I got in trouble for it. So I've been trying to inform people that don't just listen to the voices, ask the professionals. So the one I want to tell you about for today is a project that I did. We bought on auction, and we picked up the property for about 34,000 euros. Okay. And it was 200 square meters, which is like 2,100 square feet. Actually, you know what? I should say it's a little bigger, but that would be including like the storage, the cantina, and also the garage, right? So it was in an apartment complex, and what we decided is an interesting situation because the property back in the day was 3 apartments. Okay. Someone took all 3 and unified them into one apartment. So it was just one big 4 or 5 bedroom apartment at the top of this condo. Wow. We picked it up on auction for 34,000, and I talked to the geometer, and he approved us to split it. Like, he did all the application and stuff to split it in half. In this project, luckily, I was doing very minor work, and so I was able to do the project myself, where we added like a wall to close a door, actually to 2 doors, and then we had to open up a wall to add a door to exit the building as well. That was, and so I had to have a specialist come and help me with the external door portion. Right. Yeah, makes sense. And We had people come in, install gas lines, new water heaters, and we had to split the heating and water system in half. And what happened was that 34,000 got split into two 17,000 euro initial purchases, and we rent them out today.
Wow, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh, what a great purchase. I mean, that sounds amazing. Yeah. So
It's been good. Yeah, we decided to leverage a little bit because we actually got the lowest mortgage possible. Probably we got a 28,000 euro mortgage, and so we used our cash to do the remodel instead. And all in, we probably are on 33,000 each.
wow.
For each apartment,
Wow.
and we rent them out for about 500 euros each.
Wow, per month. That's great. That's great. I noticed that the interest rates in Italy, I don't know if they're the same. I don't know if they're the same worldwide. Yeah, like 2.1%. I'm like, oh my gosh, let's buy all these properties. Yeah, the market is great right now, but I have noticed Calabria's picking up, and so I better snag whatever I want now because they're starting to move, which is great.
Yeah, you'd make a good decision to do. I mean, when you compare the U.S. The rates to the Italian, and we're talking 1%, 1.3% sometimes, 2% at times, right? So it just depends at the moment you're searching.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. That's cool. So if you had, what would be your dream property? What, if you could purchase anything and renovate it or not or whatever, what would be your ideal dream property?
Well, I was telling a friend of mine yesterday that I sent him a picture. I said, this is what we're building up to. And maybe I can send that picture to you. It was something that passed by on my Facebook feed through like a Italian travel channel. And what it was like a castle, a mansion that just had a brilliant history to it. Yeah. And it was just a little bit outside of Florence, I think. And so it was just beautiful, the idea that it was being sold for such a low price, but it needed about the same amount. I'd say low price, but it was way more than I can afford to put into it right now. And especially since things like that require a maintenance of like tens, hundreds of thousands of euros a year. Yeah, it's just one of those things that will be the future of the channel.
Okay, that will be a brilliant renovation. I can just see when you buy that place and then just renovate it bit by bit, it's going to be fascinating. Oh my gosh. So what about some of your clients or your guys that you've been working with? I see some success stories on your channel. Is there like a particular one you want to talk about the person finding their dream and doing something great with it?
Yeah, I've been, ever since talking about one-euro homes back in the day, I've been trying to discover their people's experiences, especially since I hadn't been doing it myself yet. And I knew people wanted to see the process and all that. So I was fortunate that Meredith Tabone, she doesn't go by the Italian pronunciation in the U.S., but she has roots that connect her back to Sicily, and specifically Sambuca. And Sambuca is one of the cities that had like probably the most success with the one-euro home program. They had like over 100,000 offers, proposals. Wow. And they did not have that many properties. They had maybe 100 or so. And so she made an offer, and her offer, she likes to say, she just says like 5,555 because she likes the number 5. Yeah. And she also bought number 5 on that street. So, but she did it because she wanted to connect with her history, right? Her roots. Yeah. And so right now you can follow her on Instagram, Meredith Tabone. Okay. Meredith_Tabone with 2 B's on Instagram, and she's been sharing pictures of her renovation.
Oh, nice, cool. Nice. I'll check that out. I love that.
But I'm still looking for more. I've been reaching out to anybody I see that has bought a one-euro home. Had some responses. Some people didn't check their message. So. Yeah.
It is a little bit variable as to who gets back to you on certain things. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's okay. Not everybody wants to be in the limelight either. So
that's true. That's true.
Understandable.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'm still looking to get over there this summer or this fall, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I got a little note from Carl too, and he's like, "Oh, I want to interview," and I said, "Well, why don't we all three go do something?" You know, or
I was thinking we should all go hit Cinque Frondi when we're all in the same area.
I love that idea. I love that. Okay, we're going to do that. And oh my gosh, I always do this. I'm going to be there for 2 months, probably, you know, at the most, because I got to get back for the holidays and stuff. But we wanted to go down to Sicily and then hit Cinque Frondi and then, you know, check Musamelli and do all these and go to Messina, which I've always wanted to do. But I would love that if we all sort of met someplace central or met down there. There's like some hotels that one of my clients sent me, and I'm like,
That's
okay,
cool.
great, thank you, and then go check it out. God, that would be so awesome.
Well, yesterday my wife told me that Italy has actually, and I've known about it, but I didn't think we were actually going to take them up on it. Italy is offering a stimulus called, like, I don't know what it's called. It's like the vacation stimulus for Italians or something like that.
Yeah.
And they are giving 500 euros for the use of going and then stimulating the vacation, the tourist market, right?
Nice.
And you've got to have your receipts and all that, but you can get a tax reduction of 500 euros, I believe, just because you went on vacation in 2020 as an Italian.
That's fantastic.
So maybe I'll use it and go get a place on the beach in Calabria somewhere.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. I really expected it to be like a dead year for our. We have the apartment in Praia, and it's booked completely from July all the way through August. And then I've got a whole bunch of people that are just waiting because they want to go buy properties, you know, and they want to go down to that area, and they're all waiting. So I think it's going to be booked for September too. I'm just amazed, but I think it's because that area is so beautiful. You know, you've got the sea and the beautiful views, and it's just so gorgeous. I can't wait to
So
show
I
you around.
assume it's not Americans as of yet. Your video you just shared about it being not banned, but you got to follow the rules before you're allowed in Europe, right?
Yeah. Americans, I don't know. See, it just depends. I think that Europe is looking at America as a whole. Although somebody said, oh yeah, they might let other states in. I don't know how they would do that based on the fact we all have the same passport. How are you going to know what state I'm from, you know? I don't think they want. Yeah.
And there's no control at the borders of each state. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think they want their passport guys to have to, find the page where your state is or whatever. I don't see that happening. Maybe it will. I don't know. But here's my hope that by September 1st, which is when Pete and I want to come over, everything is open. We don't even care if we have to quarantine. If we have to quarantine on our roof terrace in Calabria for 14 days, we'll get pizza delivery every day. We'll be there for 14 days enjoying life. To me,
my friend was trying to fly from France to Spain yesterday, and they shut down. They canceled his flight. Yeah. Now, the only thing he told me was that they canceled the last 2 flights of the day. So I don't know if you can avoid the last flights of a day, give yourself a higher probability of arriving, but it's just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good point. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And, we do have a business office there. Maybe there will be some sort of exemption if we self-quarantine. We'll look into all of that, but I have a few things to do first before we go, so I got to get that done and then come back. Okay. But,
I want to see pictures of your remodel. All finished.
I can't even, oh my God, this is torture, and I'll tell you why, right? So you saw all the old stuff, and the black sticks that were the roof. Well, the roof terrace is finished, and I can see it with some drone video that our mayor had given us. It's a huge roof terrace. It's beautifully done. The interior is, I think, all done. The tile is in. It's so spectacular. And my friend Bonnie's like, your house is so spectacular. And I'm like, I just want to see it. I want to go there and be in it, So yeah, as soon as we get there, we're going to do a whole thing. We have to get the Lego kitchen in and do that. But oh my gosh, a new balcony on the front and the views. You'll see it when you come. If there's another working bathroom, we'll put you up in there and you can stay with us. Yeah, it'll be really fun. Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to go. Cool. Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate all your time. and all
Yes.
your expertise and whatnot.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, so thank you guys for joining us. Stay tuned to the channel. There's going to be a lot of really great information, and we'll see you soon.